San Diego's on.
San Diego.
San Bernardino's on.
San Bernardino. Who is that? Visalia.
Las Vegas is on.
Great. Got all the West Coast JB Hunt guys. Who else just joined? All right. So, we're going to start with looking up HUs for all you guys that do chargeback disputes, your returns, looking up HUs within EWM, part of SAP. So, we're going to be utilizing Melville. I have Melville's access. So you guys are going to see what I'm doing is what you're able to do also. So anything that I'm doing within SAP, EWM, you guys will be able to do this too. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me, ask me questions. I'm going to shoot questions at you guys, see how you handle things. But going from there, we're going to look up HUs. So, in the Management Monitor, we're going to go in here. We're going to select our bin. So, for instance, we're going to use our chargeback bin. So, we're going to go into Depot bin. And for the storage bin, you're going to put your chargeback. So, whatever chargeback bin you have. If you have Las Vegas chargeback, it will be LVEG_CD. So for now, like I said, we're doing Melville, so we'll look up Melville's. _CD, execute it. Spelled Melville wrong, sorry. And execute it. So we have the Melville's chargeback bin. We see we have 8 HUs in it. So if we click on the whole bin itself, so a line item, and we look at physical stock, we'll see all the HUs within that that bin. And right now I'm sitting at a depot working off of Wi-Fi, so it does take a while. Seems like I'm locked. There we go. All right. So here's all the physical stock within that HU or within that bin. So these are all potential chargebacks for Melville. Now anything that's in this column that has a 2 next to it means it's been charged back. Anything other than a 2 is going to be charged back. So you can look within this bin of all the chargebacks, and it's best, here's the HUs. If you click on the HUs, it brings you to a different screen, or it tells you you're not authorized to look at it. So the best thing to do is click on a field that is not clickable, and then hit Tab over 2 times, for instance. And we're going to hit Control-C. So we copied that HU. Now, for instance, we're going to open up another session here, and we're going to utilize the lookup for HUs. So we're going to go back to Management Monitor. We have HU history across warehouses. So you double click on that. And we're going to paste in the HU. So Control V. And we're going to execute that. And we're going to get the history where that HU's been all the different dynamics of its warehouse tasks. So if it's been on a trailer, if it's been in the racks, if it's been at your depot, if it's been on the returns bin, wherever the case may be, it will show the history of that HU and all the warehouse tasks that are attached to it. So once we get into that, I'll show you the navigation throughout that. In San Bernardino, do you guys look up HUs? I know you guys don't have your depot bins that you're able to look at because you are internal depot. You have to do local depot reports. But do you guys use the HU lookup across warehouses? All right, so in here, you have all the movements of that piece, what's going on with it. For instance, we're going to look all the way to the right here, and we're going to see where it's been moving. So, for instance, this one went from the annex bay, it went to the door, and then went into the trailer, and then it got staged on Melville 17, and then it was put into the truck on Melville 17. And then it was supposed to return. So since it never returned, returns never received it, there's no other marking saying where it was returned. If it was returned back to the DC, if it was returned to the trailer, there's no return for this piece going back to the DC. So that's why it's in the chargeback for Melville. So if you want to do your research, try to figure out what truck, granted, yes, it says Melville 17. You can go back and see when the date was, when it was put on Melville 17. So it was put on Melville 17 on the 16th, per se. So this could be the 16th. But you don't know exactly what stop it is. So you can look up delivery docs by going up here, changing your layouts, selecting documents, and it transfers over to the display columns if you double click on it. So it's right here. You execute it. Now you have the document column here, and within this document column has the delivery doc listed. So here's the delivery doc for this piece. So basically, you can copy this delivery doc, and then we can go into Dispatch Track, or we can go into SAP and look up the delivery doc, stuff to that extent. So looking up the delivery doc, if you have my other class, if you listened to my other class last week, we talked about Dispatch Track and all the different functions Dispatch Track has. For instance, we're going to put the delivery doc in here. So if you go 0, paste in the delivery doc by hitting Control-D, enter. Delivery doc is not listed. All right, let's go into SAP now, and we'll look up the delivery doc. Maybe it was canceled. Or SAP ER1. I'm sure if this was canceled, it shouldn't have been scanned to a truck. And we're going to look up display outbound deliveries. We'll paste in the delivery doc. So here's the delivery doc for that piece. You can do the magic hat here. Melville 17, stop number 1. Address, delivery address cannot be changed. Schedule delivery on the 10/22. So this piece, look at the other. We're dealing with a goof proof. Let's try a different one here. Let's go to this one. So we got a left arm recliner. Copy the HU. We'll go back to HUs across the warehouses. Paste it in. Execute it. You guys in San Diego, do you guys utilize your looking up your storage bins and checking them, looking at your chargeback bins?
Yeah, that's kind of my supervisor sends out his recap. I actually have some questions. We have product in there that has been sitting in there. One piece is a bed protector that wasn't recovered by our team within the first month that we were operating here, and it still is sitting in there and hasn't been charged back to us or anything. So I have two others that are a few months old now as well that we haven't heard anything back from.
So per se, you probably want to reach out to your RDM and get more clarification of what's going on with those, and see if he can help you out by removing them from your chargeback bin if they're not going to be charged. That is an RCD function that they will be taking them out or putting them in your chargeback bins.
All right. Thank you.
So we have a return dock for this right side facing recliner. So here's the return document number. Again, we can go to dispatch track and put in this return doc. So return docs start with 00. And here's the return doc for it. This return doc was marked as finished. So most likely this piece should have returned. And yep, this is the left side facing recliner, and it shows it's been returned. So we have a delivery there. Here's the original one. Left side facing. So it's been exchanged, but most likely, as we look at the movement of it, the other one, it did not get scanned to the depot. It was supposed to be scanned to return when it got back to the depot, and it doesn't look like it got scanned to return or scanned to a trailer to be sent back. So that's why this is being charged back. So more or less, you need to contact the drivers of that run. And again, you can look at that through dispatch track here, because this movement doesn't show what truck it was on, but you can pull the delivery dock, and like this is the return dock. So this was Melville 23, stop number 5. And if you scroll down to the time, it was for the 25th. So pulling that delivery dock from the document column will help and make your research a lot faster on finding out what's going on with these chargeback pieces. You guys in Las Vegas, have you ever utilized that column or heard of that column being used, the document column in the HU lookup?
Yes, we have.
So I'm not showing you something new? Not bringing a hot moment?
For me personally, it's a hot moment. This is pretty brand new to me, this aspect of it, but I know Isaiah here in the depot is on it quite a bit. So I've been kind of watching him and, looking forward to your class this morning so I can pick up on it as well.
Very cool. So sorry that I only have access to Melville. So I can't look at your guys' chargebacks, your guys' bins. But does anybody want me to go over that again? Show you navigation, starting from depot bin to HU lookups? Or we good with HU lookups and changing your layouts to find the document number for the delivery docs and the return docs?
Mike and Calvin.
Yes, what's going on, Calvin?
Can you just go over that real quick? Because I just forwarded it to someone who needed to see it and she joined on. Just go over real quick how to get to that, the way you did it to it, to the chargeback bin.
Okay.
Thanks.
So when you log into EW1, you'll be going into Management Monitor, and then you're going to do the drop down for the depot reports, external depot reports. You're going to do the drop down for your depot bin stock. Double click on depot bins. And then down here on the field for your storage bins, you're going to put in whatever depot you're at. If it's Las Vegas, if it's San Bernardino, San Diego, whatever the depot is, you're going to use your 4-call sign. So for instance, again, I'm in Melville. So it's Melville _CB. Execute it. So you can hit this little checkbox on the bottom. It'll pull up your chargeback bin or whatever bin you're looking for. If you want to look up Melville 001F for the storage bin, you can see all the pieces that are there. If you want to look up just all your bins, you can just execute it without putting anything in there, and it'll give you every single bin that you're able to see. If you want to look at your returns bin, it will be returns _ whatever depot you're at. So you guys can look at any bins according to the storage bin that you put in there. For right now, we're doing Melville storage or Melville chargeback. So, like I said, there's 8 HUs here. If you select the whole row and we do physical stock, it'll pull up the physical stock in the window underneath. If you need be, you can pull this portion up higher so you can see all the physical stock, but since there's only 8 pieces in here, you really don't have to go that high. And when we want to copy the HU here, it's best to click a field that's not clickable. Anything that has a line underneath it, you can click on it and it'll bring you to another window. So it's best to click on a field that you're not next, that isn't clickable, and you hit the tab button on the keyboard and it'll bring you over. If you went too far over, you hold shift and you hit tab and it goes backwards. So if we went all the way to the description, you can always go back by holding shift and hitting tab. And then this portion you would hit Control C to copy it. And then you open up a new session. So create a new session. And we'll go back to the Manage Monitor again. External depot reports. And then we have the HU history across warehouses. Double click on that. Paste in the HU that you just copied. Control D. And execute that. And then that will give you all its information, where it's been, where it's going, the movement that happened since it was on the rack to when it got to your depot, or in the customer's house to your depot, or whatever the case may be. This HU lookup will show you all the movements of that piece up to the chargeback or whatever bin you're looking in. So whatever last bin that HU's been in, that's the last movement. Now also you can utilize the HU lookup if you have emails. You can do the same thing by typing in the HUs and looking them that way too. Now, again, if you scroll over to the right, you can see all the movements here. As for this piece right here, it went from annex to the door to the trailer, and then went to Melville, or went to Monroe, and then Monroe truck, and then it came back, and it ended up in found in Melville, and then it was lost in Melville, and then now it's charged back in Melville. So if we go and we change the layout, so change layout, so instead of selecting the layout, you do the drop down, you change layout, you select documents, double click on it, it'll add it to the display columns, execute that, and here's your document column, and within that, you'll find the delivery doc. So we copy that, and we can go to DT. We'll add delivery doc. And again, this was for Monroe, considering that this piece was found in Melville, but was it returned from Melville? It is being charged to Melville because it was found in Melville. Granted, it's a Monroe piece, but again, it was found in Melville, scanned in Melville, scanned at that location, but never returned from Melville. So that is why it's a Monroe piece, but Melville has a chargeback for it. Does that help out, Calvin?
Thank you. Yes, it does.
All right. Let me close up some of these windows here. So we're going to go jump into your chargeback photos. Now, chargeback photos is on SharePoint, and it's basically the DCs looking at the return pieces and checking them to make sure that they're returning with the appropriate description that the drivers gave when that piece is returning and why it's returning. So sometimes they come across returns that the drivers did describe that damage per se, and that's why you guys have the ability to dispute them. So if something comes across the DC and the DC decides to charge the carrier or your depot for this damage, you guys can dispute them if the drivers describe this damage, and then that's why it's being returned, or it's 65, or wherever the case may be. So any disputes that you guys have, once the dispute gets submitted, the delivery field support specialist will go through them and make sure they're legit disputes. Now, looking at the dispute, what we go by is there adequate pictures on DT? Is the notes in DT and SAP collaborate with the pictures? And was the customer contacted or talked to with customer care about the damages? So if those three things happen, your dispute will be granted and you won't get charged. Now, if the dispute doesn't have those things properly documented, we will go forward with the charge. So make sure when you all dispute these charges that these three things have happened. You've got adequate pictures of the damages, the drivers make notes of the damages, and the customer's been notified of the damages, and there's a resolution in getting a new product or whatever the case may be to that customer. So those three things have to happen. Now that also goes along with your code disputing. You have to have good pictures, you have to have comments from the drivers, and the customer has to be contacted and talked to about the damages and resolution for getting another piece to them. So Again, code disputes and chargeback disputes, there's 3 criteria that need to be good for a dispute. So let's go into a chargeback photo dispute here. And let's see what depots we have here. Then we have Melville. So we'll help Melville out and look at some of their code dispute or their photo disputes here and see if we can get some disputed for them. Just pick a random one here. You guys over on the West Coast, do you guys have or utilize the chargeback photo? You guys see very much of them coming in?
Not a lot.
All right, so here on DC1, they take 3 pictures. The first picture is usually the label of the piece. The third picture is the damage, the second picture is the damage, and the third picture is a picture of the piece, per se, a farther distance away with most likely the damage in the picture. So, if we take a look at the second picture, we will see the damage. So, we'll just take a look at the damage. All right, so it looks like this piece was not wrapped properly. I'm just going to throw that out there. Not necessarily a damage, but it's not properly wrapped. And so let's see here, customer, the TDM code was wrong. The accent chair was returned without the legs. So that really doesn't show the piece without the legs, but see what the second picture shows. Yep. Check the third picture. Just the tag. So I'm seeing it improperly wrapped, and that's another thing that depots get charged back with. Now, if this piece was a wrong piece, it was delivered in a package, in some kind of packing, either a box or other plastic or cardboard, whatever the case may be. This is a brand new piece that was delivered. It's coded as wrong or written wrong. So this piece should come back in its original packaging. Just per se that we're trying to resell it as, if it's written wrong, we can sell it as brand new because it didn't stay in the customer's house if the original packaging was on it. So this is why the chargeback happens, on top of the comment saying returned with missing legs, most likely because it's improperly wrapped. This shows shrink wrap wrapped around it. So this one is not a good dispute. This wouldn't be a good dispute to submit per se. So I would mark it as reviewed and submit it as is. See another one here. We have an RDD piece. So this piece was called in as damaged, considering that it's an RDG. So we'll see what they are charging for what damages that they had on this piece. So again, the second picture is most likely the damages. So let's take a look at them. So we have not necessarily a hole, but a dent in what's seem to be the side or the back of a piece. Let's see what it says here. RDG damage was specified as to be what was damaged. The dresser was returned with the top dented. All right, so let's look in DT. And we have no indication here of the dresser coming back. It was marked unable to complete. So I don't know if they delivered everything or everything got returned. Canceled because yesterday is canceled. But we do indicate, we do show that damage, that same damage in the pictures here. So we can see the same exact damage. And these rails are damaged too, but we're not getting dinged for the rails just yet. We're just looking at the damage on the dresser, and this clearly shows the same damage. So this would be a legit dispute, per se, because you have adequate pictures of the damage on DT, but it does say unable to complete, most likely because the customer didn't want the damage. So that is a good dispute. So what you want to put in here, pictures, DT, show same damage. And now one of our delivery field support specialists will get that notification that that dispute was submitted. We'll look at that dispute. We'll check it out, make sure it's a legit dispute. And if it is, if we think it's a legit dispute, or if we know it's a legit dispute, we will decline. Now, when we decline it, we're declining the charge. We're not declining your dispute, we're declining the charge. So, being that it's declined, that you guys will not be charged. If we're going to apply the charge, we will mark it as reviewed, and then our admin office, when they do billing, they'll apply the charge when the billing cycle comes up. But when we, as delivery field support, as we say we're declining it, that means we're declining the charge. So you guys will not be charged. We're not declining your dispute. Anybody have any questions on chargeback photo disputes? And you guys in the sales, do you guys ever get chargeback photo disputes? Have you checked out this library lately? This page? Yeah. Do you guys get notifications when stuff is submitted to this page? I know there's emails when notifications when stuff is being disputed or declined or reviewed. I'm just wondering if you guys get notifications saying that one's been submitted as pending.
I don't think I received my
Okay. I'll look into that, see if you guys get like notifications. Calvin, do you remember? Do they get notifications?
Notification for the call?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any recently, just stopped.
Okay.
We used to.
Well, I'm just exactly what I'm looking at in here. There is nothing for the West Coast, so DC5 isn't submitting any right now. So
they've never gotten them to the West Coast, never.
Every once in a while, I'll see them come across, but I was just wondering if you guys get the notification when they do come across.
No, but we're gonna start doing that now. Put it up.
I could hook it up, yeah. But again, that I'm seeing no chargeback photos here as I'm looking that DC5 has submitted to this library. So I don't know if I want to. Do we want to?
Submitting them there?
Yeah, they're not submitting them. So either they're not checking them, or you guys are doing a great job on doing your diligence of taking photos and describing the damages, so they can't charge you back. Yeah, you go with that one.
But yeah, we can check.
All right. Let's see. So we're going to get into RCD. We're going to get into your code disputing, and we're going to get into your well, we already talked about chargeback disputing. So we'll get into code disputing. Now, that is located in Workplaces, DC. We'll go to Returns. RCD Dispute Requests. So within here, you're going to submit your code disputes. You can click on this and get your code disputes. Answer a couple questions, fill out the code dispute, and some of the code you guys cannot use. I sat with RCD Erica Hens, and she did a couple code disputes. She showed us how she does them. Again, the 3 criteria that you need to have when you're doing code disputes are adequate pictures of the merchandise that the code is being disputed for, comments from the drivers, and also comments from the customer about the damages and the resolution. Other codes that you guys cannot use, that really, I shouldn't say you can't use, but they're going to get declined if you use them, is the code that you're disputing and you use RET as a code to resolve it. That code is already being used for RCG because customer care uses that code for RCG to research. So if you're telling RCG to change the code to RET, RCG per se would do double the work because they're code disputing, they're researching your code dispute, and if they change it to RET, then they're going to research it again because that's the code that customer care uses for RCG to research. So RET is not a code that you guys should be disputing to change. So if it's a REG and you want to make it RET, it's going to be declined because that is a code that RCG already audits. They already look at because that's a code that customer care puts in for RCG to look at. So RET is not a code for code disputing. Does that kind of help people out? I don't know if you guys use RET, but RET is not a code for disputing. So let's look in here, see what we have. Look at Las Vegas. Check out your code disputes here. So, this one right here, not to throw you guys under the bus, but this one is going to be declined right off the bat. I know it. It's going to be declined because, again, the RET is not a legit dispute code for code disputing because, again, they're going to decline it due to the fact that they already look at RETs. So they're not going to do double the work. So I don't know if you guys want to resubmit this one and put down a different code than RET. Is there another code that you guys would like to use for this one? There are 4 chairs on this order. They were refused because the customer was unhappy. Tabletop, ding table. So is there a code that you guys would like to change this to? Because I'm going to tell you right off the bat, once they look this up, they're gonna decline it, and you're gonna have to resubmit it. So. Anybody from Las Vegas on still? Let's look up another depot here. Look up San Diego's. This kind of right here, on your RDG to EEX, you're still getting a bad result. These are negative codes, both negative codes. So you're going from RDG to even exchange. But if the P stayed in the house, then yes, it would be marked as an even exchange. So yes, this most likely will be a reversal, but still it's a negative code. You have an even exchange with an RDG.
I've seen a few even exchanges that didn't negatively impact our overall ECR for whatever reason. I don't know if it's due to it actually being like a manufacturer defect or some other issue that wasn't related to an actual damage. But I've been looking at our metrics, and there has been some even exchanges that aren't negatively impacting our score. But I'm trying to figure out more in-depth details on.
So 48-hour exchanges are the ones that impact your score. So 2-day exchanges will impact your score. So whatever the delivery date is and whenever the even exchange happened. So if it happened within 2 days, that impacts your score. Now, if it happens outside of that 2 days, it won't impact your score. So, for instance, this one, we have a delivery date of the 13th. So, right now we're in the 14th. So, if they don't change that until the 15th, per se, it won't affect your score. It's not going to hit your score because it's 3 days out now if they change the code EEX. So, if they change the code today, on the 14th, it will impact your score for your week ending because it will show 24-hour even exchange. But anything that's past 48 hours, you're not going to see it impact your score. But again, this is going from RDG to even exchange. They're both negative codes. You're still going to get a negative. But if you just want the results to show what's really going on with that stock, this is a good dispute. Let's look at this one here. So we're going from RDG to RCS. RCS is customer preference. Item refused due to customer not liking the wrinkles on one side of the love seat. Item is not damaged, just missing the plush look. Team mishandled issue. Okay. So that's an issue right there because if they said it was damaged, then that's what it gets marked as. So let's look up the delivery doc here. So it says manufacturer defect, customer refused item, customer care was contacted. Okay. Team member Jose, customer preference, customer refused item did not push on the love seat, wants to reselect, send as submitted, defect love seat, contacted, refused item. Let's see what pictures it shows. So I'm seeing the wrinkles in the kick panel, if that's what we're going for.
Correct.
Yeah, I would say that this would be a legit dispute, and it would go through as a, not necessarily a manufacturer defect, but it could go as an RCS.
Yeah, we'll make sure we're trying to get that terminology coached to our teams.
A manufacturer defect would be something to per se that it's from the manufacturer that it's defective. Per se,
Some piece or an indent that was painted over or something like that.
yeah, like they filled in a knot in the wood with some wood putty, and then they painted over it.
Yeah.
If
That
there
one
was,
flows, because if you compare it to the right side of that one, it's a lot more flush, smooth,
yep,
and the other side's a lot more wrinkly. So I mean,
yeah.
it could go either way, I believe.
Yes, it could. Per se, it could be tightened up by a service tech going out there and stretching it. You can just unstaple it, stretch it some more, make it look tighter. That's most likely what they're going to do at the warehouse. But yeah, that could go either way. But I would say that is a legit dispute with RCS being customer preference.
Awesome.
Let's see. Let's see what this one. Item is in the new and picked prime stock. Hold the customer. Declined it. Insert legs not damaged. Okay. Taking it that the insert for the legs was not there. Just take a look at the delivery doc here. Warehouse notes. Was disputing IDG. The item was picked in stock. Customer choice. Talk to Cat for the customer service. I'm seeing these pictures taken in the depot, not necessarily at the customer's house. It's still wrapped up in its original packaging. There's a T-nut for the hole for the leg. I don't see the leg. So the item was new pick the hole. The insert leg is not damaged. The customer prefers not damage caused by team. So was it missing leg?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it was missing legs. I just think the customer saw it and just, I really don't know. That's kind of odd to me. I mean, obviously, yeah, it is for the legs, but maybe the customer's like, no, I don't like it due to that hole being there. I'm not sure, even though we would be putting the legs in there.
Because I have came across that They do have T-inserts, but then you use wood screws to screw in the legs. So I don't know if this is the case of one of these types of sofas, but more descriptive. Again, you have to have good pictures and also comments from the drivers of what's going on and comments from the customer of the damages and what's the resolution, what they're getting. So this one is up in the air. I'm not sure what they're going to take for this. I don't know how far they're going to dig into it per se. But
well, if you look at the bottom, our team did put the notes from the customer care rep out of SAP at the bottom. Says that the leg, and sofa underneath my leg. I just lost it. Because customer care is not updating notes in DT. They're just leaving them in SAP. So we copy and paste them to the dispute. And they even saying that customer feels this is a used sofa, which it looks like in parentheses. So they're even notating in there themselves, like I'm not positive. So they showed the photos and everything. That's what the customer care rep is speaking to them about, saying that the customer feels it's used.
So not the legs didn't have holes in it or the T-nuts or whatever the case may be. It's more of a customer preference because the customer is saying that it looks like a used sofa. And she doesn't want it because it looks like a used sofa.
Maybe I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's definitely something that Coach the team, more detailed notes.
Yep. It would help out to understand, because as I'm reading this and what I'm taking it as is the guys didn't have the legs, so it is an RDG, so it's a damage because there's no legs. Because I don't see legs in the photo, I just see a hole in the bottom of it. That's what I'm taking it as, and that's what RCG could be perceiving it as, that it's missing hardware, it's missing legs. You know what I mean? So better description, more comments, more photos. Again, you guys can take as many photos, the drivers can take as many photos as they want on these tablets and put them at the stops. You can have 20 to 30 photos per stop. It doesn't matter. There's no limit on how many photos you guys can take on DT. You can take as many photos as you want. So more photos means better actions, better sequences of actions to see things. So photos, comments, and resolution from customer care will help you out with these disputes. You guys want to look at another one? For sales, do you have any disputes in here you want me to take a look at?
Sure. Yesterday, we got dealing with 7 pieces because the customer was used only 2.
So is it this one? Yesterday, this one?
It's from yesterday, yeah. I can use that one.
So side panel of nightstand is not attached correctly. During manufacture, no damage, cracks, leg broken. Now, that is not a manufacturer defect. That is something that can be fixed. It potentially could be damaged. So that's why it's an RDG. We can't change it to manufacturer. It can be fixed. That one is going to stay an RDG, sorry to say. It's a back panel, like any back panel of a dresser, back panel of a chest, back panel of a nightstand. If it comes detached, it can be reattached by you guys sending out service techs, selling that service to these customers, selling the service, or even catching it before it even goes out. Having your QC guys look it over, checking your merchandise before it goes out on the floor or goes out into the truck. But again, you can't claim that as a manufacturing defect. It's just like if a drawer falls off or if the drawer comes apart, that's not a manufacturing defect, it's a damage. So this one, for instance, won't be changed to an RDG or won't be changed to a manufacturer. I know that. This one will stay as an RDG because it's damaged. The back panel came off, so side panel, whatever the case may be. Sorry to burst your bubble like that, but check this one. Yesterday's. So this is a cancel RDG. This piece was sent as a hot piece in the morning. The piece was damaged. So you gotta change your wording if you want to change your code. So you said this piece was damaged, so it's gonna be an RDG.
Of the same. Well, how do you dispute those?
I'm not really sure how you're going to dispute it damaged if you say it's damaged, because it's damaged. So, yeah, you help yourself out. Not saying it's damaged might help, but if it is damaged, it's going to be an RDG. So, you really can't say it's canceled. You can say damage not loaded, so it'll be a DNL. But it can't be changed to canceled. If it's damaged, it's damaged. So if customer canceled the delivery and you did notice it was damaged prior to it getting canceled, that's fine. But if it's damaged and you're canceling it because it's damaged, it's going to be an RDG. So it's going to get rescheduled anyway, even though a canceled will get rescheduled too, but RDGs get rescheduled. So. Now, if you think it could have been, like you say here, it could have been repaired prior to completing the delivery, you could have brought it to the customer's house and set up a service tech for them to repair it at the customer's house. So then you would just get a service set up, but if the piece was never delivered, it would be a DNL, or in this case, it's an RDG. So again, selling the service is a good practice, good recommendation for your drivers to sell the service. If it's serviceable, if you think your QC guy could have fixed it, then most likely the service techs that are out on the road can fix it too. So if you can sell that service out on the road, it would minimize your RDGs and your even exchanges. So selling the service, get these service techs, and most likely also talking about service techs, you can get a service tech faster than an even exchange could happen. Because service techs can go out there next day, even same day service we have. So if you guys can sell the service, if your drivers can sell the service, that would be very much helpful for your coding and also for stopping even exchanges from happening and RDGs and helping out the service techs so they have work to do too. So again, I think this one's going to stay in RDG just for the sheer fact that in the description of your description it says the piece was damaged. So damage means refuse damaged goods. So RDG, refuse damaged goods. Anybody have any questions? Anything we want to go over, talk about? Well, if we're all set, I am going to conclude this call. You guys were great. I hope you got some good information about this. and I will see you and hear from you next month. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mike.